After the Big Bang, which happened 13.7 billion years ago, after the formation of our solar system, which happened 4.6 billion years ago, now we can talk about Earth's formation. Right? So along with all of the other planets in our solar system forming, Earth was formed as matter began to collide and form a planetesimal. Right? So gradually, an irregularly lumpy shaped proto-Earth developed. Because there was a lot of gravity pulling that material into the center, right, the interior heats up and becomes very soft. And gravity begins to not only pull that material to the center and heat it up, it also begins to reshape Earth. So Earth started out as lumpy, Earth became more of a sphere. We're still not quite a sphere today, right? We're still lumpy, a little off kilter, but we're close to a sphere. And Earth differentiates into a core in the middle and a mantle surrounding that core. Now, the materials that went into the core were the materials that could stay a liquid, so they were able to melt, and were very dense. This was mainly iron and nickel. These materials were dense, they were liquid, so they were able to flow to the center of the Earth to create the core, and the mantle was everything else that was lower density around that. Still don't have a crust yet, right? But we do have a core and a mantle at this point, right? Soon after the Earth forms, right? We've got a core, we've got a mantle, not quite a crust, right? At this point, a protoplanet collides with it. The protoplanet was about the size of Mars, and when it collided with Earth, it blasted debris out around Earth. Now that debris didn't all hurtle into space to never be seen again. A lot of it got stuck by the gravity of Earth and began to orbit the Earth, right? Now, as that material orbited the Earth, it collided with other material orbiting the Earth, eventually clumping together to form one large body that was orbiting the Earth that we now know today as the moon. Right? So the moon was actually formed from material that used to be on Earth, which is why the moon and the Earth have a very similar overall composition. And it's also why I chuckle a little when people say, they brought a rock back from the moon, which is super cool. I'm not discounting that. Bringing a rock back from the moon is super cool, but I always think to myself, well, we're just bringing it back home, right? It started here anyway. Right, so everything that we've talked about, right, from the very beginning of Earth to Earth differentiating to the moon being created, all of that happened during the Hadean eon. The Hadean eon, again, it's unrecognizable to us today. It was incredibly hot. The Earth was molten. It was being bombarded by meteorites. There was little to no atmosphere, no ocean. Cosmic radiation was incredibly high because there was nothing in the atmosphere to protect us. Right, the Hadean Earth. All of this happened in the Hadean Earth before we even get into the bulk of the geologic timescale, which we're about to move into next.